figured I'd go back to basics and do what I just realized that Kayra can do text-based adventures. And so I tried it once, but not with one that was geared towards text-based adventure. It was a little odd. Odd to have a linguistic battle game that has no ending or objective. So I figured doing this, which I've done before, and it's familiar, and so hopefully we'll get to compare and contrast. Okay, there we go. Off we go. So these animations, these animations were from last night. I think I got the grid system down, and it's from the KLMC2 folder, initiated by Catherine Croson, and folder folder variation by Dig That Data. I don't know the paperwork name of Dig That Data, other than I believe he's Dig That Data in Twitter too, who enabled initial images to be used, who enabled multiple prompts, which I don't use because it's a little too confusing for me to plot those curves at the moment, but maybe once I tire of this, and want to, but it's like to transition from one to another takes a little bit too much time. It seems like there's a lot of blurry time, so I much rather love how initial images seems to unlock these settings that I never touched in the KLMC2 folder that now I can, because I mean you need the high adaptability of a high K value, meaning like 0.7 or above, to handle all the movements that are going on in this. Because otherwise the color will bleed out and stuff like that. I kind of like how this is. So that was my last night, trying to tweak and figure out what kept the color in, what kept the veracity of the image in. But nonetheless, even the washing out stuff looks pretty neat. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's go. How is music? I'll do that.
You're a citizen from City 49, a futuristic metropolis of no remorse, where keeping your head low will suffocate you and where big dreams turn into nightmares, and tax days in a week. Your cyber implant tells you it's time to wake up and administers the necessary dosage of stimulants. The synthetic motivation opens your eyes and you see your cubicle ceiling above you. Kitty on your inspirational poster is hanging onto a pylon that looks at the city miles below. Keep hanging in there, Kitty. As you leave the apartment complex, you notice a bizarre something. You say, dude, for the last time, I gave you your charger. And if you're looking to blackmail me over the repurposed stims, fuck off, cause I'm an out-and-out bodily autonomist. I have no shame. I can put us both on the live feed and have a round-table discussion with our mutuals if you want, hunty. Your bulge ain't all that. Now go to, lest I call the super to ultra-violence you out. I'll find a way, says the blackmailer as he walks away. You take the elevator down. In the lobby, you are accosted by a man. You ask, sigh again. What? What is it? What's worth disrupting me from my shitty day? It's a beautiful day to build for the good of the future, the man explains. He reaches for his brochure stockpile and pauses, seeing the uninterested look on your face. You ask, no, that's okay, give me the brochure. What's your deal? The man nods his thanks and hands the brochure over. On the front there is an image of the Earth and several satellites. Look up at what you already have. Think how much better it'll be tomorrow. You read the brochure. Join the Solar Dialect League today and enter for a chance to win the vacation trip to Mars. Winners will leave their Cerbic lives behind and taste the new dream one click of the dial at a time. You ask, there's gonna be analog controls on Mars. What type of analog controls? You got toggles? Sliders? I'm sure there's going to be something analog. It's Mars though, and even with a telecom connection, any primitive controls you find will only really be relics anyway. You say, but they are going to be those types that you wonder, why don't they make these anymore, right? The stuff that will survive and be like you even though it crashes and kills all on board. Because if it isn't, I'm not interested. You will not be disappointed by the analog that you will find. You enter yourself into the Mars raffle. What the hell? Why not? Good. And you've taken the first step into bettering your life. Thank you. Now in the train, you can fully be yourself. And by that, I mean you can feel oppressed by people as dense as you are while waiting for the inevitable breakdown where you arrive late to work. Or you can check your body. The cyborg option shows off your inner aesthetic. Well, inner and externally. From simple mechanical enhancements on the hands, an overclocked processor in the brain, and that tattoo swapped out for the inked in and that lets people know you're outfitted with a battery, to all the fully artificial human tissue in between. You like what you see. You raise the swole factor by 10% like you just finished a few reps of pull-ups at the gym. Nothing happens. Too bad there isn't an artificial physique option. You try to imagine yourself getting larger, as large as a building. You find brick shithouse module. You stare, envisioning your whole body chiseled from the finest bricks. At least one thing in your life is easy. For what can happen to cybernetics is much simpler than changing your body's flesh-based makeup. Every change is editable, no more fuss involved. You think about the range of shapes you can take. Let's just say that sometimes being adventurous in physical sex can be limiting. Have your BioWare on and a body can do whatever you want. A virtual environment presents itself so you can be anybody and everybody no matter what mood strikes you. And it's a double-edged sword. Nobody can quite explain the strange mix of arousal and ennui that comes from a freedom. No, one can live vicariously through any number of people. You suppose that today's better than any to act with caution? His ship could sink after all.
Yes? Oh, wait, no. Thought I...
Tax day approaches, and before that the annual audit for the amount in your bank account. No way for your earnings to live outside of the world's surveillance. No money earned under a company's payroll can. But of course, they only ever take from their bottom 50% anyway, and you are but a very small fish in a very large sea. You remember the recent revelation that the president has ordered the companies to only show one's credit information to the IRS. The rest is to be left in people's hands. Whether this will truly diminish how the government steals through fines and fees is hard to tell. On the way to the office, you pass by the local cellar, dialect propaganda poster advertising the newly reopened bar. Better food, better art. It's better here in the future that already is. The new mayor's voice is plastered on all the buildings. If our pasts become weapons used against our children today, then we must reshape who we were. The solar eclipse is often a scary day in the past, especially when staring at the moon's face. But the moon's bite is toothless when you are ready, and remind others that the solar eclipse comes with another surprise. That with it brings the gift of the daylight savings hour. The hour of remembrance of the fateful Carrington event too. The electric gogaboo that paralyzed the world, knocked out.
Hold on. This is what I don't like about.
The hour of remembrance of the fateful Carrington event too. The electric gogaboo that paralyzed the world, knocked out the electrical infrastructure and caused billions to starve. Unsurprisingly, a major source of the attack can be traced back to the communist countries. This historic event is commemorated around the month of the solar eclipse when the Earth passes through the path of totality. A time to reconnect with your humanity that shouldn't cause too much disruption to the daily lives of citizens.
It does.
But does? Why is it set for the second Monday of the year? To allow time for the extra day of that year to act as a buffer? Whatever the case is, now at work and seeing the hours added, you take it upon yourself to send a short mail to your boss, telling them how Monday 2s were before, and so were daylight savings hours. The next thing you know, your identity is cancelled. Who knows? There could be worse reactions for how long light outside is. The message explains. Some information you are about to read is taken from the reports which are not authorized for public release. Falsification or willful spreading of disinformation is illegal. The entire world went dark. But even as the blackness turned into a horror movie nightmare that started growing across the sky the day after and lasted a week, killing billions in the resulting famine, the governments kept building better fences. What if all they had to do was start spreading the old nuclear protection beyond the country borders of their own territories? That if they had started spreading the protection to even just 10% of the world's 10,000 mile range in total, they could have at least saved enough people to repopulate themselves to their current populations, and all this war could have been prevented. If they had been talking when it would have mattered to, working together instead of against each other for the sake of their personal gain, maybe they wouldn't have the refugee problem they have today. To compensate for their own greed of protecting the well-off, they thought they could just shove them into bunkers for 3 days and save enough energy from the third until the day after the week would be over for them. You slap self out of exposition mode. Reading that part almost put me to sleep. How weird. Also, oh yeah, daydream mode means that never happened and everything is the same as always. Time to check out the rest of the office. On the way to one's office just because the time passed faster doesn't mean having to spend less of it traveling to and from work. Seeing what a 2-4 minute and often 3-6 minute decrease in the length of the journey to the subway train could grant the appearance of the 5 minutes actually taking up much longer. At least you clock in. You sign in your computer login. Sesquipe Dalian writes. That's stupid. You right. What's stupid for today, pal? Sesquipe Dalian writes. Trying to clarify that one's own ability to simply stand still can alter the subject's perception of time does a good enough job at culling what you just did. Stupid. You right? You're clocking in? Was you supposed to be under the table today? Sasquatch Dalian writes. He's like an admemba. Ho spamba. You right. If you're a spam bot, then you're a replica if you come slut. Sasquatch Dalian writes. Sasquatch-Dalian is said to be a word snob, or a big all fuckwad in other words. Inspector Gadget asks Sasquatch-Dalian to stay on task. 3. As a person is doing research for your Let's Sapient resources like a real boss so you won't ever cry again at another impending career downfall. E-seminar. There is a need to check the notes some friends are bringing to see what parts need discussion and what would be fine as is. The notes have a fun concept sketched on paper. The notes contain who is El Chonguito Salo? Who is El Chonguito Salo? A description or adages for readers of the blog entry. A humorous play off the word humco. A real thing solar dialect makes, like when people look at a bunch of hamburgers and think their choices are either eating or not. Everything seems to lead back to hunku somehow. You research hunku. You discover that back in the 2000s, hunku was supposed to be a cute and attractive character targeted at children. They made a bad, money-draining series of shows on the television network. Then the network called it a success and kept forcing more into their ratings' desperate prime time, eventually leading to a major scandal and bankruptcy on their part. The people eventually found out the execs were like shoving all this product placement on the poor kids so these people's bank accounts could flourish as a whole, not just individual people's money grabbing. You research competitors of Hunkahu, like from products of channels like the Network Network. The Network Network, a channel with news, created a line of similar-looking characters that were equally dumb with names like Junkahu, or Junk H, or Junk AK, are the slimiest hit on the floor and which. They ended up merging the show since the writers of the characters could never get the audiences to understand or notice the distinction. Then they tried to recoup the debts and introduce similar Junku shows to other networks, but didn't work so well for anyone. You research products of the Mesh Newswork and the News Mesh-Vision channels. The Mesh worked on fixing this while creating the News Mesh-Vision channels through the mergers Union 4 and adding the new networks to their lineup. When they had about every major audience demographic for things like Hunkahu media-wise covered, they gave Hunkahu and the network backing its original creators a small sum of their yearly budget to have their return to glorious TV land. But right before the live-action children's programming block was set to return, the show was cancelled for the company's other, new, not ever tried to make lucrative brands with minimal ties that existed only for the sake of owning something in that format. And it was then Hunku slowly saw its resurgence back into the collective consciousness. The Solarium down on floor 1 allows for breaks. Free to express oneself at any time of the day, anyone can put up a display of Hunku's unbeatable potential and ability. That its brand is just one that can stick with any one person and encourage them to do more if you hang on to the idea long enough. You've been to all the contemporary commercials of the day, having requested a binge package from the Museum of Public Relations. One of those little things about doing things too fast is that there can be too much to take in. So even though only 5 pieces of material from the pre-corporation era were sent over for one's research project, and that the library of the site is mostly just a bunch of still frames printed out with the ads and logos when a commercial screen is still active, the quantity shown can be rather mind-numbing. I personally hold it in so others can admire without stress. But the best way of being respectful seems to be by hitting the pause option and maybe having a rest in between the episodes. Because making the memory a safe, pleasant experience, instead of something stressful that causes fear and anxiety, is about the more fulfilling way of taking a chance. You know? And when you do find a place where others can come and learn, that can be a useful way of remembering that you shouldn't scare others or put them off talking about how much effort your research took. You research when the pre-corporation era took place, for the purpose of being a historically accurate search engine at the moment. The time and date for how this information is set to stay may be correct, but keep in mind that if and when the Information Archiving Institute does its scheduled full-scale update when the servers are updated, a lot of the era-spanning data may have been reduced or scrapped entirely. So while the first instance of the Transnational Communications Consortium being a predecessor to what later became the Common Communications Exchange Corporation, or CXC, most likely occurred in the 1800s. Most literature shows the first glimpse of the Communications Consortium to be when the press had a name change from the Commodore to the Televersion Media Station on 1977, after the public-private system grew larger and moved towards what the companies would later on identify as the pre-corporation era by getting much of their funding from the government when their revenue wasn't enough. The company's media was absorbed on 01. You being the Dutch East India Company. Okay, you got it. Before the arrival of the used version of the company, it has since been revealed that the New Holland comes in the shape of a giant corporation now ruling over the entire sea-going continent under a monopoly stretching from China towards Europe, America, and onto their most recent conquest of India, with a price tag of nearly 6 million marks. That number's still a mystery, considering the fact that no one could ever get a membership to one of their financial accounts that was already worth a ton and 1,753. You reviewed the current organizational chart of the Dutch East India Company, like their corporate cousins and foreign equivalents, after which they took many models and ideas for running businesses. The chart seems to have its roots in military terminology. The hierarchies look very much like a tree, with top staff in the form of various degrees from company heads to underlings, which would be arranged in a two-dimensional formation of the branch heads and other positions beneath. Later, this theory was backed up by a few diagrams showing a fairly modern-looking office with rows upon rows of desks, in contrast to the chaotic piles of papers behind the most important rooms. You research if Dutch East India Company has a rhizomatic imprint. One finds that the term, which refers to the characteristic of networking in ways not formally assigned by the corporation structure because they don't match a tree image or hierarchical representation, is mainly used by the leaders of a country, or even that's notoriously confusing when explaining the history of how Netherlands shaped up to be so well known today as Dragon Food or Dragon Capital. If one tries using this tactic, however, the dragon would end up getting caught dead by those living in his land, since these people can't die due to natural conditions that get worse when one isn't able to function due to hunger or thirst. It gets progressively worse when the human species finds itself at its peak, then starts going backward in terms of technology and health. Still a long way out, but there'll come an epoch when someone will do something about us before we just disappear. Go extinct like dinosaurs did during the global disaster that drove them from Earth. Which is pretty ironic because there's still one sitting in my office saying, "Yes, boss, 3." As he works at his desk putting folders together.
I don't know what you mean by that one. I mean by that one.
Examine that one. He is working at his desk, putting folders on a plate and labeling them with computer index card forms in a style of paper that doesn't have any other markings on it than dots and lines like the ones here. Sometimes the only thing you want after an exhausting day or night, but can still go without other times. Just let me say this is exactly when you will get one because you got an hour until it's all over, yet somehow all this time feels like forever. This type of thing. Most importantly here, there's never been any reason I can think of that could explain why no matter how hard someone tried to understand, once they're finished typing their report or report to themselves, that same person will start typing his thoughts and ideas into the digital mail. Oh, right. And for some weird reason, despite the fact that each and every single man in existence ever in the history of mankind was sent through these things only today 09/01/20391, everyone continues to have only one email address no matter where they live or work. No one knows how this happened or if it's something bad. Some say it might be related to China's hacking activities and Australia's recent online sports betting scandal that led many Australian citizens into a world where their money now consists of mostly a worthless paper currency, or simply call it the result of the ninja bug. You pay taxes. Yes. The cost and duration of a citizen's contribution to society depends directly on his/her profession or level of employment, income, social status, and age, unlike others such as these trust funding types who only have to keep paying off their debts forever. Their birthdays coincide, and this happens too on their 100th birthday, because not only did these so-called aristocrats reach adulthood, but they didn't get fined with student loans as soon. Unfortunately, this does not apply to those with academic degrees like doctorates, because they would probably just end up having to educate people for free instead, because whatever happened to the days of doctors getting rich on old money and having successful careers? They're gone. Forgotten. Past. At least we're better off than France with their constant feudal unrest. At least from what's been covered by our own media lately, even if Europe is still suffering under Nazi rule. You calculate how much you have to pay, and calculate the refund, and calculate the donation to the Baby Queer Affirmation Fund. 3023528 Act marks for student loan deductions have been deducted to your overall refund account total of 3091675 Act marks. And no, I'm afraid none of that amounts to anything near the official amount set for charitable donations given out in February last year on January 17th, 1990. Not unless you have already given at least 5 assets total to charity so far in 1990 alone. 25 Act marks about $6 were refunded to the Baby Queer Affirmation Fund by the Office of the Inspector General. Thank you for your payment receipt. May God have mercy on your soul, and may St. Patrick know. In other words, Happy Charity Month. Be kind to your fellow man. 3. Oops! So sorry about being stuck in this outloop for like an eternity, which actually took way more time for us here in real life than it actually took inside yourself. He seemed content with your answer and wished a happy era. You cotton jackal, part of the Chinese Empire's New Year reckonings? Last year was the year of the fiberglass. Though it has changed in meaning and spelling quite frequently, the word for rabbit is supposed to refer to a four-legged animal with big feet that eats grass and hops around, usually with long ears as well. Such things exist in many cultures across the world, from ancient times to today. Even if they were just part of some legend passed down through generations, it's not so much important to know about its origin as it is more crucial to discover what kind of associations one makes with them in one's head nowadays. A fun challenge is to call this animal in each part, first mentioning where its name comes from, because no one would think of naming a rabbit after their ancestors if nobody does that anymore either. Then slowly guide whoever is listening towards coming up with ideas for how rabbits live their lives or what values they might have. How about where you would find such an animal or any particular characteristics you would notice when spotting it? Which specific traits would one think could be what makes it distinct? Maybe even how useful it could potentially be, how much it'd give value back towards whatever goal they were discussing. What if you tried that? Wouldn't knowing where this being originated from make them seem far more engaging? Like an important or even special part of their natural habitat? That could lead to many other discussions where each person then expands on their own interpretations while weaving in their own vision of reality between each sentence spoken. And all the while, someone can always stop at one point and point out a mistake someone made, which opens up discussion between the two. By offering up these animals instead of their names only, the end result could be much more productive, because now instead of merely bringing their own thoughts to talk about, it seems like whatever was being said has greater impact. What are you thinking? Reader, don't bother trying. You head home. An envelope is at your door with the results of the Marsh raffle. It is my great pleasure to inform you that you will have won $10,000 and will receive 1,000 of the latest edition of the solar currency from the company General Holdings. Mixed responses of emotions were expressed by most, some crying in happiness, others scoffing at how much money could be wasted if they didn't take it and invested it into education instead. Anyway, now you will have gained your prize no matter what choices you make for your career, if any. Or perhaps they'll decide to keep it all and just buy more land away from the city that they have with their family, eventually making enough money to start investing themselves. Who really knows what each will choose? A woman from one family of 17 who one was incredibly happy but said that her own kid shouldn't get hurt to degree. She said, I think the cash prize is certainly a great source of opportunity. They should use every last bit of resources they receive on things like school, clothes, and extracurricular activities. I've seen more and more kids getting into that stuff lately, one mother explained. You call up the blackmailer. Hey, Rob, come on through. I'm about to root. Not now. I'm busy, cunt. Oh, you dick. Of course, yes, now. Leave me alone. I'm still mad at you, says another caller, getting a hang up. If I didn't need the stuff and were just horny, I'd still be so fucking rude for taking such advantage of some poor bastard caught in this shit and being in desperate need of money. Excuse me? Hang up now. Click! choose your own adventure? Do you? Find another plug on the slammy sites. Go to page 53. Go to bed, save money. Let your brain lie fallow. Go to page 9. All-nighter exposing the conspiracy. Page 2024. Choose your own adventure. Your mind races with the ideas of a last night out, just one, before the gig. The night could be spent with friends or family, a final party, or simply enjoying yourself. When will you go on this journey again? There are so many options out there. Each one makes your thoughts grow more vivid with emotion. Which should you try next time you're bored at 3 in the afternoon after being kicked out of the place you had sex with someone and looking at photos in their bathroom, wondering if you could look anywhere less boring, like maybe out the window. A bus stop, maybe some coffee shop, reading article after article of random stupidity and eating an apple, but actually really feeling like a sandwich. Whatever. I still know I'm better than this dumb shit. Especially now when we're both almost out of alcohol and probably due back at work tomorrow at noon. Time is of the essence, my friend. Pick up and bring yourself somewhere besides the front entrance of that fucking cafe I'm standing outside of, waiting for someone to come save me because it's about 20 degrees out here, so let's go. Let's have fun, get drunk, high, and enjoy this last weekend before January. Tonight will be damn well worth it. Just put aside any anxiety for being with other people who are bored and want something to do before getting shut off from reality again. No one else cares. Really? Put on Santa Claus onesie and go for a night on the town, in the town, around the town, betwixt the town. Check out every place. Show everything what you're working at. So many stupid ideas running in my skull. All sorts, all kinds, not just one. So much like this isn't the kind of thinking I thought I needed anymore anyway. It's the same old crap with the same old thoughts. Honestly, it all gets pretty boring even though they're very different situations, but who gives a fuck about that today? Now you base off their feet. Me, the one who has tried everything, must realize I cannot afford to lose another night. Or a day wasting them at parties which do nothing else than drive me nuts after having finally quit smoking a month earlier. So fuck it, let's get wasted and stay drunk before something stupid happens again. Let's get all the laughs and smokes and alcohol there can possibly be, then proceed with whatever is needed until whatever happens is over or there isn't any need left. I'd rather do this rather than just be so stupidly stupid, not getting high because of the shit going through your mind instead of focusing on how beautiful life really is, no matter how many stupid shitty things go wrong with it every second or third hour or minute or whatever. It is how we function, so let's just accept everything and make do the best you can. So good night, friends, and good luck wherever you end up, because you will end up somewhere, so please stay out there safe and sound till sunrise. Until then, we bid farewell and adieu till tomorrow. Bye-bye. Goodbye! This story can only ever really end if you decide to see a psychiatrist on this night. Please return to 15 and press continue. Override the mental health overrides and keep the party going. You must log back into this site, find a friend, and decide to help them out on a night in which they feel lost or without any other support but you. Press continue. Great! I just saved half an hour. Let's play Super Mario. No one really seems to care whether I have plans or not. Everyone always tries so hard to be helpful, yet they have nothing going on in life whatsoever because that's just what people do in New Zealand. Stay inside all night, eat, go out. refuse any other pleas to capitalize on my codependency. All right, look. Just log out of my head already and start putting together this party without any further intervention from the site managers. No more replies or retreads. No more meetings or appointments for today or tomorrow. No one deserves to die out in the cold or rain just for wanting some entertainment. Let's have a party tonight with drinks and smokes. Let's bring out a little bit of music and maybe even share a kiss or two. But make sure it's safe first, okay? And don't forget to wrap up in your favorite outfit, because you won't know who else wants some action too unless everyone has at least 2 drinks worth of beer or rum before being completely intoxicated, then puking everywhere but nowhere near the pool area, not even near the garden. Just not anywhere near you personally, because that wouldn't be very good manners for anyone under the age of 18. Make sure not to invite too many underage girls either, because we don't want some rapist standing up here again. Call into work and say you are taking an interpersonal day. This choice does not guarantee a position back at your desk. Please return to 15 and continue. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Let's just do this for a minute before things get awkward for everybody who'll show up asking for help. You'll get answers eventually. Not right now, though not anytime soon either, because then I might not answer anyway. And wouldn't that just leave me hanging out with nothing? Override my habitual socialization disqualifications. Success! Order the foam party module. What's the address up in here? Anybody who owns this place, please log in. Okay. 15 minutes later, a panache turns into view. Oh, it's the last train to Muppet Town. We were not aware that you required additional services within 15 minutes from here and have redirected our ship to provide assistance if you have forgotten the date you set your party for at 7 p.m. We appreciate your decision, however, we'll need to verify the details. Please tell us again what happened. My date showed up and then started dating somebody else on my birthday because her ex asked her to come hang out that night with them, not just him, but his girlfriend, who got jealous enough to threaten divorce too. So what am I supposed to do now? Cry? Call an emergency friend? Come here with a ton of alcohol in his possession? No, sir. Not tonight. Not any night. But tonight I'll take these. Thank you very much. You may return to your shuttlecraft at once. You bet, replied the pre-Nash. Our delivery services will reach your residence as soon as possible and should not cause any delays in getting our products there promptly. Your Muppet Foam Task Force has arrived. Here you go. Nice dress. Girl, here you go. Have fun. As soon as he arrives, you shake his hand politely, thank him for coming on such short notice, and explain what happened. He replies, well, sorry about the situation, and good luck trying to find a date. Just keep practicing, man. Seriously. You nod your head slowly. I will. Thank you for understanding. Yeah, it's no problem. Once the rest of you all finish saying your farewells with smiles, he exits without another word as you close the door. Behind him, your neighbors aren't looking at the window. It looks like it's your time. Dawn approaches in an hour. Get inside now. You pop open a beer as the doorbell chimes. Hello, hello. Where's your drink? Oh, fuck, it's been a rough day. Can I just come in without anyone getting pissed off? A stranger gives you his hand to hold on to. Yeah, man. Sorry about that dude. That sucks. A Muppet gives you your Muppet astrological chart and goes finely granular with it. Aries rising, confident, stressed, irritable, and explosive. Taurus rising, generous, down to earth. Gemini rising, inquisitive, intelligent, inquisitive, changeable. Cancer rising, irritable, changeable, touchy, nervous, moody. Leo rising, generous, chaste, and stylish. Virgo rising, perfectionist, nervous, fussy, anxious. Libra rising, generous, versatile, changeable, and nervous. Scorpio rising, self indulgent, complex, competitive. Sagittarius rising, cheerful, witty, unpredictable. Capricorn rising, reserved, serious, controlled, and private. Aquarius rising, impulsive, witty, imaginative. Pisces rising, very adaptive, complex, passive, lazy, or passive aggressive. Yeah, how the hell can you be all those rising and yet not have a sun sign? Wait! If that's true, then do you mean there is something missing here? Oh, yeah, of course. Sun signs are super important, especially when dealing with stuff like this, all about balance. That's how you can really nail down your personality as an individual. See, you don't know exactly why you do the things that make you special and unique, which means no one else can know you better than yourself. Though if I've got an idea where you come from, then yeah, it'd help make sense how your experiences shaped you in order to lead to the person we have here today. Want to talk about it, girl? No thanks, says her, not really into it. Wow, I'm an idiot. No way, replies her in a strong manner. How's the house, by the way? What you doing up in it right now sounds weird. Can't tell me much, but you are pretty cute, so if you want to take a pic, I'll be happy to send something in exchange. You take a long drink as the Muppet who has made all of these revelations cajoles. You request your chart in the form of Free Will Muppet astrology format, the sing-along songbook. The Muppet says they'd be happy to comply, but only after payment has been received. The check bounces and then has bounced itself onto the internet. No way could anything happen without some money coming through too. Sorry about that. No refunds. Muppets Incorporated only accepts cash or credit card with Visa. No checks, please. You want to talk more? Are we done here? You give them doubloons. You take doubloons. Sure do. And now it is the time for you to check out a while. The Muppet huffs a few times and scratches its chin thoughtfully. Your Free Will Muppet astrology chart. Birthday, December 20, 1979. Location, where the freeways meet, California. 12:03 a.m. Time signature. Oh fuck, why me? Your free will Muppet astrology chart. Birthday, December 20, 1979. Location, where the freeways meet, California. 12:03 in Pacific Standard Time, PST, December 21st, 1979. Your mama gave birth to you early because she heard all her other friends were pregnant too. Moon sign time of birth. Moon rises or sets at the exact same moment every day based on its current relative location. Moon is visible on its way up during twilight, dusk, and visible heading down towards dawn or daybreak on its way back down towards sunset later on during the morning hours, depending on whether you have east or west facing windows where you live in most places. This time could vary anywhere between 2-8 hours earlier/later depending on season or climate conditions where the sun sets/rises, etc. For instance, if you are born somewhere such like say Vancouver, BC, lots of rain, or New Orleans, lots of sun, you'll have different starting positions/angles, making each person very individualized because they aren't always positioned equally in terms of either place at different times or weather conditions for those places, etc. Sun sign time of birth, meaning when we're born and not before, we will have our sun in one particular place among all 12 zodiac signs. For example, Cancer will always have Cancer somewhere, regardless if we are a Pisces-type person born July 14th at midnight versus someone else with similar characteristics yet who also happens to have Scorpio ascendant, which would mean the Cancerian energy could be located within Sagittarius territory, another factor entirely. However, everyone has their sun placed within an entire 30 section ranging from 21/22 Cancer 00 Leo 00 Aquarius, and therefore each person will represent an individual case depending on where their sun sign sits. Thus, everyone can share certain traits because these signs often correlate well together. So if someone with a Pisces ascendant like yours truly were to fall around the area mentioned before, Cancer's 18-22, then one might see similarities between those folks, being imaginative, artistic, or emotional, while still maintaining uniqueness by virtue of location/sign position/horoscope configurations overall. In short, how much influence your rising sign will have depends completely upon your particular astrological chart placement, which includes both ascendant and natal houses. You have long since passed out. The Muppet sends you their medical and historical report along with your astrological chart via electronic mail. Do not give too much attention towards either moon sign time of birth or sun sign date, because this data is only useful for comparing/contrasting oneself versus other individuals, not for self-analysis purposes, due partly to the fact you are not supposed to be focusing primarily on yourself, yet simultaneously at ease within surroundings so comfortable they allow no room left available elsewhere, which can offer opportunities or options beyond our imagination or dreams, therefore having no meaning whatsoever when taken out of context, amongst others. Let me know if you have more questions.
Alright, that's it for now. That's it for now. That was Text Adventure.